Hello, everyone. We want to take this opportunity to say thank you. As you grow at the Golden Boot, so do our needs, but we cannot do it without you. We ask that you continue to like our posts, share our content, and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, and other social media platforms. You may also visit thegoldenboot.com for the latest merch. If you would like to make a financial donation, you can do so through Cash App at @Golden Boot or through PayPal at paypal.me/Golden Boot. We look forward to bringing you more laughs, knowledge, and entertainment. And again, thank you for your endless support. Sincerely and respectfully, the Golden Boot team.
The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, welcome back to another edition of the Golden Boot. It's your boy Pooh Bear. Got my man Aunt Petty Murphy in the building. Daniel is off tonight, taking care of some family business, but we will have him in our hearts, thoughts, minds, and prayers. First off, how you doing this evening?
I'm good, bro. How you feeling is the question, man. You know, shaking back from that a little
let me
bit.
say this. I put it like this. Because I had to call my boss today, and he was like, "You all right? You feeling better?" I was like, "Well, I ain't gonna die today. I still ain't me.
I still ain't coming in.
Yeah, I just ain't me." So, but yeah, Jason Brumfield say new intro music. Listen, Jason, we've been having this new heat.
We're gonna have some heat coming for you.
Yeah, we got some new heat. So yeah, we got some. Wait till the outro too. We've been playing some new music for the last couple of weeks, but yeah, we just testing some things out. Can you hear Dylan in my background?
A little bit.
Okay. All right.
That man celebrating.
Yeah, he just won like he told me how much money he had, man. He had ended up with 1.5 million.
Oh, that's enough to get an NIL deal for somebody.
Yeah. Maybe he's gonna go to Florida. Anyway,
nah, you need to move a decimal.
Oh, 15 million in Florida. My bad.
My bad. You know, they paying big money. Well, never mind, they're not actually paying it. Never mind.
Yeah. What's up, DK? He said, love what y'all doing, changing things up a little bit. Yeah, we trying to stay fresh, man. We trying to keep it new, man. Keep y'all coming back, man. Yeah, the fact that y'all noticed that means a lot.
You feel me?
That means a lot. What up, Marv? You know what I'm saying? So
appreciate y'all tuning in with us, man, tonight.
Yeah, I've been trying to type this in. Let me go ahead and type this in while we at it. And I'm gonna talk to y'all while I'm typing it, so it makes sense. But hopefully I don't talk as slow as I type. Thank y'all for tuning in. We truly appreciate it. Shut up, I type slow. Don't forget to subscribe. Like and share to all your friends and family. Hey, listen, I didn't do good on Mavis Beacon.
Oh man.
What up, Lucy? Hadn't seen you in a minute. Lucy be in the building. We got Xavier in here. Xavier said, you know what, Xavier? We saw it yesterday. It was funny. He was like, I ain't gonna cut up. We got company in here. But when they leave, we had company all night. I know Xavier hold back. But Yeah, but let's get started, man. That is so loud. That little boy is so loud. Hold on, I can control it from my phone. That little dude is in there jamming. But let's get started. I'm sorry, my bad. LSU lands Omar Speights, linebacker, all American linebacker, if I'm not mistaken, from Oregon State. Dude is outstanding. From everything I've seen.
Yeah, I know he was a captain of the Oregon State defense. I believe he led the Pac-12 in tackles. If I'm not mistaken, I had to double check that. But he definitely, 4-year player for Oregon State, a guy who's got a lot of experience at the collegiate level, who you can come, who's going to be able to come in and play right away. So a big get at a big position of need for BK and the staff, and maybe, hopefully, not the last transfer linebacker we see.
You know who I want.
I know who you want.
I know you know who I want. Not just for that reason. I think he'll help out big time. He was a 5-star coming out of high school, if I'm not mistaken.
I know he was really heavy lean toward LSU at one point in his recruitment also. So there was some familiarity there and some interest there in his initial recruitment. So I'm holding out hope that we could get that done, but this kind of softens the blow a little bit, not making DK such a big priority.
Yeah. Cordell Thomas enters the portal. I'll say this. Cordell stuck out a lot longer than he held out a lot longer than I thought he would. Just simply because, I know he faced injuries and he got passed up. He never really bounced back here to where we saw his potential to be. I still think he has talent. He has room to grow, of course, but he has talent, and I pray wherever he lands, he's able to showcase that talent, improve on that talent, and get a shake. Get that chance he deserves.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said, bro. He was such a good story, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
We all seen the video of him running track, the relay. We all saw that, just the videos of him dominating the one-on-ones. You know what I mean? We all saw that. And I think he was a favorite recruit to a lot of people, initially coming out of high school. And as you
Speaking
mentioned,
of that, y'all pray for Miss Peggy, because I know she took it kind of hard.
Yeah, that was her guy for real.
Yeah, it really was.
And so, the injury was obviously big, and I don't, like you said, I don't never think he ever really truly recovered from that. And at a position like that, man, it's so easy to lose your spot. You know what I mean? And it's so hard to get it back because of the continuity that it takes and the chemistry it takes at that position. So I do think he's got the talent to play, and be successful. I just hope he goes somewhere where he gets that chance and is able to showcase it. And I would love for it to be, non-SEC school, so I could kind of root for him a little more. You know what I mean? But it seems like everybody kind of transferring to SEC school. You had Tolan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now you got
before we go there.
You had one dude who didn't go to a SEC school.
Yeah, and this is actually a route I think Cordell would benefit from. Philip Webb transfers to Jackson State. And the reason I say Cordell could benefit from, maybe not Southern, but maybe
we'll take him up here in the 318.
I was going to say maybe Grambling, maybe Alcorn, or
I got Marv throws out Louisiana Tech.
That's another one.
That's a spot I was thinking, like Tech, Louisiana Tech, Tulane. If he decided to kind of stay closer to home, but I could even see him going to a Big 12 school, Texas Tech. You know what I'm saying? A school somewhere like that. That's not really as.
Could he go to Baylor and reunite with Dave Aranda?
That's very possible. Nah, he didn't recruit him. Craig recruited him, didn't
Yes, he came
Yeah,
in
because
under
I was gonna
Greg.
say if Grimes recruited him, that would
Yeah,
could very well be a possibility. Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Brumfield said, "Fire up the beans and get the Louis bag. Get the Louis Luggage. Get this man a Grambling."
Yes, sir. I'm with it.
Yeah. But back. Let's see. Back to what we were talking about, or what we were kind of leaning with the players going to SEC schools. Walker Howard announced his commitment to Ole Miss, and at first everybody was like, "Ole Miss, you just gonna sit behind Jackson Dart?" But then Spencer Sanders announced he's also going to Ole Miss, and now Walker is sitting in a loaded quarterback room again,
It was.
just like he was.
And I could make the argument is worse. Spencer
Hello.
Sanders a 4-year starter, Jaden
Mhm.
Daniels, so they're comparable.
Mhm.
Jackson's Dart started all last year for Ole Miss. So you're coming behind a guy who's a 4-year starter and another guy who started in that system versus a 5-year starter, Jaden Daniels, or 4-year starter going to a 5th-year starter, Jaden Daniels, and a guy who has been in the system just as long as you have, you know what I mean, and
Right.
hasn't started. So to me, it's a lateral at best move, you know what I mean? And you're not playing in your home state. You could argue you're playing on a worse talented team. So I'm not gonna say I'm glad it happened, but because I don't want the kid to fail. You know what I mean? I don't
Mhm.
want him. I want him to fail when he plays LSU, but you know what I mean. I don't want him necessarily to fail. But it's just one of them things that we always talk about with the portal, bro. Grass ain't always greener.
Right. One thing I did notice though, um, we've seen LSU transfers go to rival schools before, and they've gotten a lot of I'm not gonna say hate.
Saw it this year. Demario told him.
Yeah. I don't know if I can say hate, but they've gotten a lot of cold shoulders.
A
I'll
lot.
put it like
Well,
that.
one person got some hate.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh Walker Hart didn't necessarily see that same fate. What's the difference between Walker and other players? Because I know there was a debate on Twitter.
Yeah, I
Is
kind of
Walker
got into
Howard
it.
the same as Eli Ricks, or what's the difference? And that was funny. That was
I'm
kind
not.
of
Yeah,
funny
I
to me.
got into that. With a couple people. And my thing is, obviously, I know Eli
Coy
Rick.
Moore, that's another
Yeah,
one.
Corey Moore. Yeah, I know. I mean, T.J. Finley, Max Johnson. Both of them
That's
caught a
true.
little flack whenever they left. Also, um, I understand Eli Ricks was a starter,
Hmm.
potential All American, All SEC caliber guy for 2 years at LSU, then transferred to Alabama. And I understand that Walker Howard was a third string quarterback who transferred to Ole Miss. And I understand Alabama is seen as a bigger rival or a bigger threat to LSU than Ole Miss is. However, they're both SEC West opponents that we play every year. And both Eli Ricks and Walker Howard were guys who left their team to go play with a team that we got to play every year. Now, the caliber of player that they are or were at the time they transferred is different, sure. But if Walker Howard is a 5-star quarterback who's the next great thing, I mean, how is that any different than Eli Ricks, who is just shown that he is that great? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
Good
really
question.
think that there's much of a difference except for what they have shown on the field at the time. As far as the move they made, there is nothing different. Now, another thing is you can make the argument that Eli Ricks' situation was more acceptable for him to leave the university than Walker Howard. Eli Ricks had his entire coaching staff gone. Everyone who recruited him left, position coach
True.
left, you know what I'm saying?
True.
And everything like that. So if it happened in any other school and somebody left, we would understand it. But whenever it happens at LSU and a guy leaves, we clown him for it. You know what I mean? So
It's true.
and Walker Howard left when the entire coaching staff is coming back. You know what I'm saying? And you have a chance to start in 2 years, just like you do in the place you went. And now I agree, Xavier. He could have went somewhere other than Alabama. Fair point. And Walker Howard could have went somewhere other than Ole Miss. So if you're gonna knock one for going to Alabama, you got to knock the one going to Ole Miss. You said like you can't. I just don't. Ole Miss beat us 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like neither one of them beat us this year. They both beat us last year. You know what I'm saying? So how is it any different?
Jason says Howard committed to Edo mismanaged quarterback room. The BK room is deeper and more talented. Actually, he did commit to Edo, but his number 2 school, Notre Dame, who was coached by Brian Kelly. So when Brian Kelly came to LSU, it was just, oh, okay. Now I can get the coach I wanted and the school I wanted.
Well, let me ask you this, Jason. If Max Johnson would have stayed and Nussmeier would have stayed, wouldn't it be the same situation? You just got Max Johnson instead of Jaden Daniels. You would have had Max, who would have been a 2-year starter, Nuss, and then so it was the same. It's just the people in the room have changed, but the situation, the numbers have stayed the same. He was always behind the guy who has been the set starter, Nussmeier, and him. It has always been that, no matter if it was Ed Orgeron or Brian Kelly. The only thing that changed is when the coaches changed, Jaden Daniels replaced Max Johnson.
Yeah. DK actually bring up a good point. Hold is funny. But DK says, what do y'all think about the O-line? All the veteran depth left in the portal. I know our first 5 plus maybe 2 will be good, but after that, I think you got
just plus 2. I think you got more than 2.
Yeah, I think you do too. You got so I know. I think with the incoming freshmen, they're going to be young. But by mid-season, technically, they aren't freshmen anymore.
Well, I'll say this: you got your starting 5.
Mm-hmm.
You got one of the freshmen. I think will be able, at least one. I'm not going to say names. I'm just based off the numbers. Yeah. One of the freshmen should be able to be a contributor.
If we did names, I say 2.
Okay. Well, I'm just going, based off. But and then you had the plus 2 that you had this year. You know what I mean, with Marlon Martinez and help me out. What's your boy name? He left. Bradford left. So who would be the other one?
You've got
Dillinger.
I was just,
you know what I'm saying? So you would probably have, I would say you would have 8 that you could count on, and that's without one of the other freshmen stepping up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I think you're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having one more guy though, DK, but I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah. Today, I think it was today. It may have been yesterday or earlier this week. I think it was earlier this week. SWAT team leaders were announced. Any surprises?
In a way, Nussmeier. In a way, but then again, in a way, I see how the team kind of responds to him and interacts with him, so I could kind of see why they went with him. But I think they got a solid group of guys. You got 2 quarterbacks, you got 2 running backs, you got a couple O-line, got a couple D-line. You know what I mean? I think they got a solid group. But if you had a surprise, Nussmeier honestly would be the one.
Yeah.
You got one? You got a surprise?
No. No surprise. But I do say, I want people to temper kind of some of the speculations, because we had a SWAT team leader last year who a couple that ended up not being starters or even getting as much playing time. So just be careful with some of that speculation, because it'll get you every time.
Yeah, I don't think it correlates to playing time like a lot of fans believe. I think it's more so leadership. You know what I mean? Like, prime example is that the COVID year, 2020. Chris Curry didn't have a lot of playing time, but he was one of the leaders of that team. And if, you know what I mean, and if it would have been a SWAT type of thing instilled in the program at that time, he would probably be one of the leaders, even though he wasn't one getting a lot of playing time. So, I don't think it necessarily coincides with playing time, more as how you interact with your teammates and who responds to, your leadership and, and stuff like that. So I think it's more of a intangible thing than a talent thing.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. Speaking of intangible, and leadership in a way, Jack Mashburn.
Oh my
God. The toughness, the tenacity, the neck
selflessness,
roll, yeah,
the selflessness, bro. Like
selflessness, yeah.
he knew he wasn't finna catch no passes, bro.
But when
Who he reminded me of? JD
Who?
Moore, the guy who blocked for Fournette.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? They knew they weren't finna get no publicity and they just was gonna do the dirty work, but they didn't mind.
Ironically, when he got hurt, it was
Fournette.
Fournette's numbers changed.
Yeah, and Fournette said he didn't he loved running behind him. Shout out to my guy, he from Ruston 318 anyway. But yeah, Jack Mashburn, man, I'm always remember that Florida game, with TDP running wild all over Florida, and a large part of that was because of Jack Mashburn, and having a guy like that on the team, I feel like is necessary. You know what I mean? A guy who don't care about getting the credit and the glory, who just gonna do the dirty work, and you know what I mean, and kind of slide under the radar, and as far as fanfare and stuff like that. But he like the ultimate glue guy. You know what I mean? So even though we didn't see a lot of him, I feel like he gonna kind of be missed in the locker room and in those meeting rooms and stuff like that.
Completely agree. Definitely a guy. Hopefully he'll stay around the team. Maybe he may be a grad assistant or something like that.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would
be around the team. But definitely gonna miss him. Well, you want to talk some NFL real quick?
Let's do it.
I'm gonna start with the Saints first because I want to go ahead and get this out the way. What's the coach? Dennis Allen is keeping what's your boy name?
Pete Carmichael.
Yeah, he keeping him around. So he don't think he, basically the staff is gonna stay intact except for Dan Roushar.
Yeah, he's the tight end coach and the running game coordinator, Dan Roushar. So let me ask you this. What side you want on this? Because I can argue either side. So what side do you want?
You argue to keep his side because I'm gonna be simple with the
Keep who? Keep Pete Carmichael or keep Dennis Allen or both?
Hey, whichever one. I can argue either side.
Okay, all right. So the reason why you keep Dennis Allen for one is the team went 7-10. That was one less than what they did last year. And you could argue that they had more injuries this year than they did last year. And in the last 10 games of the season, starting with the Oakland Raiders game, the Vegas Raiders game, whenever they shut out Vegas, the last 10 games of the season, the defense gave up 14.5 points a game. That's elite level defense. And so he's shown that he can produce a top 5, top 10 defense year in and year out, which is half of the battle. Now, Pete Carmichael. All right, this is a tough one, but I can do it. For one, you had multiple offensive linemen hurt throughout the year, and you had basically a makeshift offensive line, kept rotating offensive lines, things of that nature. You had a backup quarterback for every game except 3. You had your number one, I seen that. Your number one receiver, Mike Thomas, played 3 games. Jarvis Landry was hurt a lot of the season. Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram had fumble issues. Alvin Kamara had more fumbles this year than any other season in his career. And Taysom Hill had the most successful season of his career statistically. So even though the offense was stale, it was dull, Taysom Hill was able to use Taysom Hill in a way Sean Payton was never able to. And if healthy, you could argue that they would be a playoff team. If they scored 18 points a game in every game this year, they would have won 10-7 and made the playoffs. You could argue they should have did that, but look at all the injuries they had. Look at all the. Now, I'm not saying Pete was great. I think Pete needs a lot of help, honestly. I wanted to change, but I can understand where they're coming from. You know what I mean? As far as why they kept him. Plus, if you let's say you fire both of them and you hire somebody, and then next year you went 5-12, are you firing them? You see what I'm saying? Like then you would be in this constant cycle of firing every coach until you find somebody who makes the playoffs. So I feel like you at least got to give Dennis Allen another year. And I'm okay with giving Pete another year based off what he was, the hand he was dealt this year. I mean, honestly, if you look at some of the numbers, they weren't terrible offensively as far as numbers wise. It was just scoring. And part of that was Will Lutz was the worst kicker in the NFL statistically. You know what I mean? So how many games? They lost to Tampa Bay by 1. They lost to the Panthers by 3. And if you score 4 points in those 2 games, you know what I mean? 3 more points in both of those games, you're in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So you could argue that Will Lutz cost the team the playoffs. You see what I'm saying? By not making kicks in those games. So it seems like we way far off, but we're really not in a sense. But I believe the most important thing is getting the quarterback and getting the offense healthy more so than Pete Carmichael.
All right.
And you just want them gone because they suck. I get it.
Nah, yeah, that's true. That's true. So you ready for this?
Yeah.
To quote the late great Dennis Green, if you want to crown them, go ahead and crown them. They are who we thought they were.
That's true. That's fair.
Dennis Allen is not a good head coach. He's a decent head coach. He's not a good head coach. Pete Carmichael is an awful offensive coordinator. Sean Payton has saved him for years. You have Byron Leftwich is now available.
Let me ask you this: is Byron Leftwich good?
I think Byron Leftwich is good. He's called plays for the 3-time division winners.
Yeah, and the offense was terrible this year. The first year he didn't have Bruce Arians helping him.
Well, they also didn't have offensive line. I'm not gonna say
neither did the Saints.
The offensive line has been awful.
Neither did the Saints.
And they had Drew Brees 2.0 at quarterback because Tom Brady
Dalton wasn't no better.
Okay,
so you see what I'm saying?
So let me get to my point. Let me get to my point. As a coach, you started a hurt Jameis Winston.
That's on Dennis Allen, not Pete Carmichael.
Let me. I know. Okay. I mean, I want them both gone though. I want them both gone.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay. You started a hurt Jameis Winston.
Mm-hmm.
You watched Andy Dalton struggle. Had a healthy Jameis Winston.
Was he healthy though?
The coach said, "Hey, he's healthy enough to come back."
That's fair.
He's healthy enough, but you still sat him on the bench.
That's fair.
I think he is a phenomenal defensive coordinator.
Agreed.
Sometimes you just got to know your role and play your role.
Agreed.
Are there other available coaches that could be good and step in and head coach? I think there's some. I think, we can reach out there and find some. Hey, you may not like it. Brian Flores is available.
Ain't nobody hiring that dude as a head coach.
I know they're not, but he's available. And
I know. I mean, that's true, but ain't nobody hiring him as a head coach.
That's just one I can think of off the top.
I mean, that's candidate. I agree with you there that there's candidates out there who I also believe would be better than Dennis Allen. But my thing is at this point, you've already made your bed with Dennis Allen. When you hired him last year, you had to at least give him 2 years unless they went 0-17 or 2. You know what I'm saying? Okay. They were a game and a half out the playoffs. And so at that point,
they were a game and a half out of the playoff in the worst division.
No. But that's the thing. Not just the division. They could have been a wild card team. They could have been a wild card team up into the game when they lost to Tampa Bay. That's what I'm saying. They were still in contention to make the playoffs as bad as they were. So that's the thing. You have to give him another chance. You can't say a coach that's 2 games at the playoffs is gone after a year. Because what happens when you get a coach who's 5-12? You got to fire him after a year, and now you're in this revolving cycle of revolving coaches.
I'm not, and I give you this. I'm not the one and done type of guy, but I think the Saints should have never hired Dennis Allen as the head coach in the first place.
I 100% agree with you on that.
With that being said, this has been the worst division in NFL football since the Seahawks.
Yeah, that was 2013.
You know, when they won, they were like what, like 7-9,
yeah,
something like
7-9,
yeah, and one, yeah. Again, go get a new OC. Play calling left a lot to be desired.
I agree.
Taysom Hill did have a phenomenal season, but the only reason, excuse me, the only reason he could have such a phenomenal season is because they had to rely on him so much.
They did last year too.
I mean, come on, it's just.
You make a fair points, and I don't disagree that a change could be made, and you could justify making a change. But I think, considering all of the injuries, you gotta look at that too and say that he wasn't playing with a full deck. You know what I'm saying? So now, if he sucked through the first 6 games, the next 5, you know what I mean? Like I'm with, but I just feel like it's only fair to him to give him the full compliment to see what he could do with everybody before you fire him. Now I'll say this: the year Sean Payton was suspended, 2012, the Saints had the number 1 offense in the league, number 1 by far. The only reason they didn't make the playoffs is because they had the worst defense in the history of the NFL. They gave up 450 some points that year. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it's kind of like you got to at least give him a fair shot before you fire him.
Yeah,
like 3 games into the season, he was playing with a backup. I mean, he lost his center. The center got hurt the first game of the year, and so then you had to shuffle the offensive line around at that point, which got Jameis hurt. You know what I mean? Then it snowballed from there.
Yeah. To be fair to Pete Carmichael, I forgot what I was gonna say. Must not have been important. Oh well. But yeah, he did have a lot of injuries to deal with. He had God, I can't. Your starting quarterback gets hurt. Top 2 wide receivers go down. Yeah. So yeah. To be fair, I'll give him that. But yeah, it's just.
Now, if he don't improve, I agree, get rid of him. But I just feel like you got to at least give him a chance to get it. And like my boy David said, who's to say won't have injuries next season or next year? You got to make it work and give us something to say, hey, let's see what he could do if we have everybody. This dude gives us nothing to draw from to give him. I don't agree with completely everything he said there. Because you got to change the offense whenever you lose your quarterback. You know what I'm saying? That we didn't see deep shots downfield and anything like that much with Andy Dalton because that's not the type of quarterback he is. So you can't say, hey, you got to show us something whenever you had to change what you were planning to do with your offense. Now, you could argue he should have been better when he changed his offense. And I'll give you that.
I want to say this. He should be used to not having a quarterback throw deep downfield. He's had that for the last
plays with that. He didn't call plays. You see what I'm saying? And Sean Payton called the plays. When he called the plays for Drew Brees, it was 2012, and Drew Brees had a cannon still. And that's whenever Drew Brees threw for 5,000 yards. And then he also, remember the game when Sean Payton broke his leg or whatever? and then he spent the next game up in the press box or whatever. Yeah. Pete Carmichael called plays that game, and the Saints scored 62 points. Shout out to Sean Fox for that stat, by the way. They scored 62 points that game, the most they've ever scored in a game in the franchise history with Pete Carmichael calling plays. So I can't say he's completely terrible. You know what I'm saying? I just got to see him with a full deck. And if the quarterback gets hurt, there's ain't too many Kyle Shanahans out there who can lose a quarterback and keep rolling, bro. You know what I'm saying? Most teams, they lose a quarterback, everything's gone.
Unless your name is Mike McDaniels. Shout out to the minority coaches.
Yeah. But he a Shanahan guy. So
yeah, he is
the same mode.
But seriously though, if I'm not mistaken, Drew Brees did say he didn't want Pete Carmichael calling plays for him.
That's I've heard that also, and I think there's truth. I think it's true, but at the same time, I think that's because he had a tendency of throwing the ball a lot. Like if you go back and look in 2012, the Saints was like 29th in the league in rushing yards and like 25th in the league in attempts. But this year they were like 19th in yards and 15th in attempts. So it seemed like he's trying to become more balanced.
Yeah. Holden asked the question. If we sign Derek Carr and draft a QB, would you be happy?
It depends on what QB we draft and where we draft him at. Because if you sign Derek Carr, I don't want to draft the quarterback too high because we got more needs. We got defensive needs. We need some defensive linemen. And but I would be okay with that. And I could see Derek Carr because Dennis Allen did draft Derek Carr whenever he was in Oakland. He just got fired before he could ever really play Derek Carr. So I could see that possibly being a reuniting.
If you're Derek Carr, would you want to come back to this?
I mean, if you're Derek Carr, what other options you got out there? I mean, I know there's other teams who gonna want a quarterback, but I feel like the Jets are gonna try to go after Garoppolo. I feel like the Panthers are gonna try to draft one. You know what I mean? So how many landing spots will you have? And I mean, if you look at the weapons the Saints have when healthy, it's not a bad situation to be in. Even if Michael Thomas, you got Jarvis Landry's a free agent, Michael Thomas could be gone. So you would just have Olave receiver. So that would kind of be something to kind of scare quarterbacks away. But he's a 1,000-yard receiver. Jawan Johnson improved a lot this year at tight end. Taysom Hill's still out there as a weapon. And you got Kamara. So Chance Babin says you think Hooker is available in the second.
I was looking at that. I was thinking about that. I think he is just simply because there's the number of quarterbacks. I don't think he's long enough necessarily for the Saints to get him though.
Well, the Saints will draft number 10 in the second round. So that would be pick 41, I think, because there's only 31 picks in the first round this year because Miami had to forfeit their pick. So that's tough. It all depends, man. I could see a team missing out on a quarterback. Like, say Detroit misses out on a quarterback in the first round. I could see them using a pick.
Hey, Detroit gonna go after a quarterback?
Yeah, I do.
In the first round too?
It depends on who they're. If CJ fall far enough, I can see it.
Yeah, I can see that for CJ. Yeah,
and then they got the Rams pick. You know what I'm saying? Which is a top 10 pick. So if CJ does, I can see him. I can see him drafting, and then CJ and Jameson Williams will be reunited again.
All right.
Playoffs.
Playoffs, yeah, NFL playoffs this weekend. Matchups, you got Jacksonville versus Kansas City, New York Giants versus Philadelphia Eagles, Cincinnati Bengals versus the Buffalo Bills, Dallas Cowboys versus the San Francisco 49ers. First, let me say this before we get into it. Let me ask this before we get to it. If you're Cincinnati, understanding everything that kind of happened, but and how everything played out, if you're Cincinnati, are you kind of pissed right now that you have to travel to Buffalo? Because to be fair,
when the game started, they was behind Buffalo, right?
When you say when the game started,
like the standings.
I think they were.
They were 3 and Buffalo was 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would kind of be upset. because I was winning the game and I had the ball going down the score, and
again, and the Buffalo was having trouble moving the ball.
And then if I won that game, we would be playing them. Honestly, I would probably be the number 1 seed if I won that game. Yeah, that's tough.
Well, I don't know because Kansas City ended up winning out anyway, so it didn't matter.
Okay. So you'd be
you still be number 2, but yeah. Also, and I understand logistics wise why they doing it, but they're already pre-selling tickets for the game in Atlanta, the possible AFC Championship game between Kansas City and Buffalo in Atlanta.
Yeah. I feel like that's the game that should have had a coin toss. Cincinnati and Buffalo. Not the Cincinnati-Baltimore game, because ultimately, since we don't know the outcome of what happened the first time, it would be ultimately a coin flip. You see what I'm saying? So that's when I feel like either that or like D Payne said, the game should be at a neutral site. Either one. I'm cool with either one of those games, either one of those options. But yeah, I feel like Cincinnati has kind of a right to be kind of upset. I don't think anyone would actually vocalize it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I definitely feel inside their locker room, that's the sentiment.
Yeah. All right. So let's dive. Excuse me. Let's dive into these. And those of you listening on audio, I apologize. I am fighting a little illness on this side. But let's dive into these games. Jacksonville versus Kansas City. Kansas City had the week off. Do they come in rusty? Does Jacksonville have a chance?
All right. I'm not counting Jacksonville out of any game. There's some familiarity between Doug Peterson and Andy Reid, as Doug Peterson coached under Andy Reid. I think he might have played for him too. Well, I know Doug Peterson was in Green Bay, Andy Reid was in Green Bay, so that might be some. They might have known each other for a long time. But so I feel like it's going to be a closer game than people think. I know Xavier said Kansas City by 25. I don't see that happening. Kansas City, you muted still. You still muted. Kansas City about to have this week off too. Man, come on, Zay. Now I think it's going to be like a 1 possession, 2 possession, like 10-point at the most type game.
Yeah, right now the books have it as a depending. Actually, you know what? Let me go get the consensus.
What Bet Online got it as?
9. Bet Online has it as 9. Yeah. The consensus is 9 right now.
Yeah, that's about where I got it. Somewhere like that. I don't think it's gonna be no big blowout. I think they kind of keep it close.
Okay. Yeah, I can see this one. So here's the problem I have with Kansas City. Kansas City likes to get up big and then bingo. It's going to be a 1 possession game at the coin toss. He said. Kansas City gets so big, and they usually end up being a 1 possession game.
Yeah,
they fall asleep in the second half a lot.
They don't like
or in the first half, or at the end of the first half.
Yeah, that's that too. They what is it? They 4-minute defense, I guess, isn't that great. And then they don't really have 4-minute offense. They don't run the ball very well. You know what I mean? So whenever they have a lead, it's hard for them to milk the clock.
They've been a little bit better running the ball with
since Pacheco.
Yeah. That kid, he concussion, broken leg, sprained wrist. He get hit, he jump up, right up, run back to the huddle.
Yeah.
Every time. So yeah. But who you got?
Kansas City.
Okay.
I got them going to the Super Bowl, bro.
Oh yeah, that ain't happening. Eagles, Giants.
Upset alert.
Oh. So you think the Giants gonna take out the Eagles?
I've been going back and forth on this for a while. I'm worried about Jalen Hurts. We want to talk about being rusty.
Speaking of that, when he first hurt his shoulder, I sent out a tweet, said, "Hey, Jalen Hurts
is gonna be out for
3 to 4 weeks." We had a gentleman call us, say we were, amateurs, some idiots. There's no way he's going to be out that long. Granted, he did come back in week 3, pretty much forced back because they had to win to get first place. And he played against a Giants team that rested all their starters.
So and the game still was close.
And the game was close. So it's funny that said that. So all I'm saying is, nanny boo boo, we told you, but I do hope he's better, he's healthier, because and one thing about that, when he got hurt, they announced like the news about him being hurt and they may rest him came out on like a Tuesday.
Early, way early.
Early. If you're hurt and it's a game time decision, you don't announce on a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's the injury. Yeah, that's an injury type update. Yeah. Yes.
You usually,
it usually come down to Friday.
Thank you. If it's something like that's that significant, it's going to come out, and I don't think it was a collarbone. So because
I think it was the AC joint. Yeah, the same thing that TJ Finley had this year. You know what I mean? The one would mess up the throwing shoulder a little bit. I think that's what he had. But I would say this: I feel like my boy David said, the Giants are known to get hot and go on a crazy playoff run. That's very true. As wild cards, they're, you know what I'm saying, they've been known to go on a run. They play better on the road for some reason. And so I feel like they're gonna lean on Saquon. I feel like Daniel Jones is gonna be under the stress, but I trust Daboll more than I trust the Philly coach, in that situation. And the Giants defense has been playing pretty well the past few weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the upset. Yeah, I'm going to go with the upset. Give me the Giants by a walk-off field goal.
Okay. I think the Eagles win this week. They lose next week. I don't care who they play. They lose
no matter what, they're losing next week because they're playing the
49ers. Adam say he got that Louisiana hot sauce deal. He good. Nah. I do think this, like you said, this week, I think it's very close. Very close. I'm going to say this game for last. The Cincinnati Buffalo, say that one for last. All right. Dallas, San Francisco.
Well, Dallas, it's been 30 years. Congratulations. It's been a long time coming. But it's not going to last long. It's going to be short-lived because San Francisco is about to give y'all that L.
Yes. San Francisco. I'll say this. San Francisco, it's not just the offense. DeMeco Ryans has that defense popping. That's another candidate that you can look at.
Got a good defensive candidate coach right now. If you're gonna change up from Dennis Allen, you got to go get an offensive coach.
I'm just saying. But anyway, I think San Francisco wins this game. They're gonna trouble Dak. They're gonna shut down the run. They're gonna be after Dak, and I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I think the over gonna hit. San Francisco gonna put up the most points, but Dallas
is San Francisco by like 13.
Yeah, so I can see. I was thinking somewhere like 40-21 or something like that. 41-21. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Something where they
24 somewhere like that.
Because I think that I can see them getting a defensive score, and then
I was just about to say that. I see that Tuafongo safety, the safety Troy Polamalu Jr. I see him getting a pick 6. I don't know why, but or Ward getting a pick 6. Man, that dude is crazy, bro. But yeah, I agree in a sense though.
Yeah,
like both are gonna be hard, especially considering that the Dallas offensive line is injured. Jason Peters got hurt last week. They had to move the rookie left guard out to left tackle, and he been having trouble a little bit. So man, Bosa coming off that edge with a rookie, I wouldn't want to be Dak this weekend.
Yeah. So this week, I mean, not this week, but last game, Cincinnati Buffalo. All right, so I'll let you go first on this.
I know y'all about to hate me, but I don't see it. I don't see it, man. They lost another offensive lineman last week. Honestly, last week, if Baltimore had competent, you want to talk about not competent play calling. You got about the 2-yard line, you try to Superman jump it instead of handing it off to your running back with a 300-pound fullback in front of him. But anyway, if that play don't happen, Cincinnati might not be here right now. So Cincinnati kind of been, I ain't gonna say struggling, you know what I mean? But they haven't been playing to the Cincinnati level that we all think that when we think Cincinnati. So I'm gonna go with Buffalo. Because the offensive line for Cincinnati, I think they're gonna pressure Joe. Even though I know Von Miller ain't there, but I still think they're gonna be able to pressure him. And I think the biggest factor is gonna be that I think that DeMar Hamlin is gonna be the one to walk the Buffalo Bills out the tunnel. And if DeMar Hamlin is at that game in any way, shape, or form, I think the crowd and just him being in that atmosphere is going to be the difference maker.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
We saw this script last year. Cincinnati struggled in the wild card weekend. Came back the next week. Got another win back. As a matter of fact, they won up because of a defensive play in the wild card last year. It was an interception against Raiders. Came back the next weekend. Had several mishaps. Won because of defense. At the end of the game, ended up being a defense. And then the next week, struggled a little bit. Defense got together, offense got together, and they rolled on. We've seen this before. This week, they playing Buffalo. It's going to be an emotional game. I think Cincinnati is going to come out. They'll be emotional too. They'll see Hamlin and everything, and T. Higgins and Hamlin will probably shake hands, hug, and everything else. And then after that, Cincinnati's going to go to work. Josh Allen has struggled the last few weeks. Mightily.
Yeah. So has Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he has. But who offense do you trust more right now? Me personally,
Neither one of them.
I get it. Me personally, I trust Cincinnati a little bit more.
I mean, I probably would too, but Buffalo's at home, and I trust Buffalo's defense 10 times more than I trust Cincinnati's defense.
That's fair.
And with the Hamlin edge of if Hamlin walked them out the tunnel, if he on that sideline, I think that's gonna be the difference, bro. He gonna get them that emotional edge they need.
We see it's a 5.5 point game.
It ain't gonna be that. It ain't a 5.5 point game.
You think it's gonna be a blowout?
Nah.
Or closer?
I think it's gonna be close. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna be a close game, but I think having that home field advantage, having that crowd is gonna be the difference.
Yeah. Dave brings up a good point. Says Bengals play the division opponent, and those are always hard, especially in that the blackness and blue division.
Yeah, I mean, so did Buffalo play. Buffalo played the division opponent too.
Yeah, with their third string quarterback.
And Tyler Huntley wasn't the backup quarterback for them.
He was the backup, yeah, but Tyler
he was
Huntley,
hurt. And he was hurt. He didn't practice all week.
He played the whole season.
He didn't play the whole season.
He played half the season. Lamar been out for at least the last 8 games.
He ain't been out no 8 games. Lamar been out like 4 games.
I will look this up because I'm pretty sure
He ain't been
Lamar
out no 8 games. He been out for a few games, and not no 8 games.
I'm looking this up because I'm pretty sure that man been out most of this season.
Nah, he ain't been out that long. Lamar missed 6 games. See?
Okay, 6 games.
6 games. But he was hurt. Tyler Huntley was hurt. He didn't practice at all that week.
I get
they
that.
had the
You
third
right.
string quarterback playing. I mean,
They
either
had
way,
a
I mean, they both
Oh
look
shoot.
like neck and neck.
Chris said Bengals gonna win it. I think the Bengals gonna win it. It's Buffalo by 37. God dang it.
That boy said 37. I don't think it's gonna be that bad. I mean,
Nah.
I think it's gonna be close just because Joe gonna keep the game close.
Yeah.
But I think they down, like Nick said, they down what 3-4 offensive linemen at this point, man. Like,
yeah.
Sooner or later that's got to catch up to you, bro. Like last year Joe took all them hits with a terrible offensive line, and he was able to overcome it. Sooner or later that's gonna come back to bite you, bro.
I don't think it's this year. I personally
We said that. I mean, sooner or later it's gonna have to. And I'm not wishing that to happen. I'm just saying it's gonna be a sack fumble or it's gonna be something like that that's gonna be big.
Yeah. All right. So this has replaced the Saints in my what not to talk to list. Talk about list. LSU men's basketball. Come on to the front. LSU men's basketball fell again at home to Auburn. Thank you. Lost by 18. They had coming out of the second half, they made a push, got it down to 2, and looked like they were gonna change the misfortunes. And
man, it's so much that I could talk about with this team, but I'm gonna try not to take shots at anybody on the team. But at some point, you gotta have some kind of self-pride and just, you know what I'm saying, just you gotta care just for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, forget the man beside you at this point. Like, play for you if you ain't gonna play for the next person. You know, it's saying like everybody is uninspired out there. Nobody wants to actually, you know what I'm saying, be the one to step up and hold people accountable, call other people out. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to say has Matt McMahon lost the locker room, but at some point you got to start wondering, like, is his message getting through to the team? Are they buying in? Are they buying into each other? Like, is it a lost season at this point? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where you start with this team. There's just so many, and that's before we even get to the X's and O's and missing shots, and you know what I'm saying,
right,
and turning the ball over and stuff like that. Like, the one thing that you can't control is how much effort you give, bro. Like, you can't control if the shot go in or not. You know what I mean? You can't do none of that, bro. But at least have pride in yourself, man. At least go out there and give effort, hustle. You know what I mean? Like, and once you, it's, man, like, it sounds crazy, but once you go do those things, good things are gonna happen to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go out there and you play good defense, you give effort, you're gonna get easy buckets. You know what I mean? That's just what comes from doing those little things. So I don't know where you begin, honestly, bro. If I'm Matt, man, I have no idea. Because you got to fix that before you can fix X's and O's stuff.
Yeah. Correction. Lamar missed 7 games because one game, the third string guy, Brown, started because Hunt was out too.
Gotcha.
Yeah. As far as the team, it's not even at the point where I think we're out talented anymore. It's out want, as you kind of alluded to and talked about. I'll pray and hope that they can find a way to turn things around. The schedule ain't getting no easier for them though. As I pull this up, it ain't. It's
Not at
not.
all.
It's because you're about to play. You're in the heart of a a gauntlet, and then at the very end of the gauntlet, it's the team that beat you by 40. So it's
Yeah.
like, what more?
Yeah. And then not to mention, Mawani Wilkerson out for the season with an injury. Then you Justice Hill, Juice Hill leaves the team for personal reasons. So
Yeah,
two guys going into the season who were starters, key contributors, are no longer here for this season. I mean,
yeah,
I'm saying Hill is no longer here. I'm assuming he's left the team for good. I mean, he might come back, but as of right
right.
now, he's not with the team. So like it's the worst combination that can happen. You're skidding on the court. You lost what, 5 in a row at this point. So then you lose two key contributors, and you got a schedule that looks like you don't know when you're gonna be able to buy a win. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bad combination, and it's demoralizing and deflating for the players. But sooner or later, man, you just gotta say F it and go knock off somebody you ain't supposed to beat. I don't see that effort, and I don't see that coming anytime soon. I hope I'm wrong, but
Right.
it ain't looking good right now.
Hey, obviously, we all over the place with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I just
And
he started 12 games, so
yeah,
he only missed 5. But
okay,
either way, yeah,
still too many. Now I'm just playing. Back to this. I'm looking at the schedule because that's why I've been pulling up.
mm-hmm.
Number 9, Tennessee, Saturday. Number 25, Arkansas, who you beat, was your only SEC win. Now you got to go to their place, which ain't an
Tough
easy
place to
place to
play.
win.
Mm-hmm.
And they upset because you beat them.
And not to mention they desperate for a win too because they've been struggling.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So that's gonna make it even harder to get a win now.
yeah. Then you got Texas Tech, who, I mean,
Playing pretty good right now.
playing
They're
pretty
not
good.
ranked. I mean, if you just, I'm not looking at rankings and stuff like that. I watched them play Texas a few nights ago, and they gave Texas everything they wanted. So I mean, it's one of those games where if you just look at them and say, "Oh, it's Texas Tech," we ain't got to show up. You're gonna get beat by 20. You know what I mean? That they a good basketball team.
Yeah. Then you got Missouri, who
Just beat Arkansas.
also beat Kentucky
Yeah,
by
Missouri.
15 in the beginning of the season.
Dennis
I mean,
Gates
beginning
got
of
them.
conference play. So
Dennis Gates got them rolling, man. That's a good hire for them, and they playing good ball right now. They one of the hottest teams in the SEC.
yeah, and then you got Alabama again. So, and then you got Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Georgia, South Carolina. Which listen,
Even in that stretch,
Georgia,
Georgia
Georgia,
is probably, well. Actually, I take the bet. Georgia, the hottest team in the SEC. I
right?
take that they are. But then you look at that stretch. Texas A&M already beat you. South Carolina ain't gonna be no easy win. Georgia is like we just said, one of the hottest teams. And who was the other team?
Texas A&M, Mississippi State.
Yeah, Mississippi State. That ain't no easy win either. I mean, so you might win 2 out of that whole stretch we just said. Man, it's tough, bro.
Yeah.
It's tough.
On the flip side, we got our Lady Tigers are up to number 3 for the first time since 2006.
Yeah, that LSU.
Yeah, that's
You seen that UConn beat writer who was like LSU jumped the UConn for number 3. Yeah, that LSU. And so LSU went and put a billboard with the number 3 ranking and had Kim point to it and said, "Yeah, that LSU."
That's funny. That's funny. But yeah, they thank you. You got it? Okay. All right. Um Hold on real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, LSU women right now they playing Arkansas. They up 29-19 right now in the second quarter. So Look like they were on their way to putting a number 19 in front of that 0 for their record this year. So all basketball ain't bad in BR right now. Just the men.
Yeah, because Southern men also got that thing rolling. They number one on their side, so
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's good. Yes, I'm on the pod, like I told you an hour ago. LeBron.
Let's go there.
LeBron gets 38K. He hits 38K. The other night against, I want to say they were playing. It wasn't Cleveland. It was an Eastern team, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it would have been cool if you did it against Cleveland.
That would have been cool. I have to go find their schedule and tell you who they were playing.
I'm sure Xavier can tell you.
Was it Phoenix?
Dwight said Philly. Was it Philly?
Was it Philly? It was I know he dropped 33, if I'm not mistaken. He needed like 18 or 20 to get to 30. He dropped like 30 something. So
yeah, he said it was the Sixers.
Okay, 76ers. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so let me ask this. At this point, does it matter for his legacy?
Yeah.
Oh, he said they're in the West. I know they in the West. I said whoever it was dropped I think it was in the East. It was an Eastern team. Didn't I say that?
Yeah, but then you said Phoenix. That's why he's saying they are in the West.
Oh no, because you said I bet Xavier no. I mean, I thought I said I thought it said Phoenix. I'm tripping. Anyway.
But yeah, I think it matters for his legacy in a sense because it doesn't look like he's gonna catch Jordan in the.
Angel Reese just went down.
Oh nah.
Oh, she's getting up now.
Okay, good. I ain't watching the game, so keep me updated. Yeah. But I think it matters because he's not gonna.
She bumped. I'm sorry. She set a pick and the girl ran into him and they bumped knees.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, he's not gonna catch Jordan when it comes to rings. Doesn't look like he's gonna catch Jordan when it comes to MVPs, Finals MVPs, and all those kind of things. So, in my opinion, if we're talking the GOAT conversation and being considered the greatest basketball player to play in the NBA, I think it's gonna come down to him being number one in points, top 10 in assists, top, and it's gonna be his argument is gonna be longevity. You know what I'm saying? His conversation is gonna be I played at a higher level than anybody who's ever played this game. And that's valid argument. And honestly, you can make the argument that it's more impressive to do what he did and stay at that peak for 19 seasons now.
20.
Then 20 seasons now, you know what I mean? Then it would be to have a peak of 12 years where you just dominated those 12 years. So I think, it's obviously Jordan's career was more than 12 years. I'm not just talking about Jordan.
Yeah, I get
throwing that out there. But so I think it matters to his legacy. I think the points thing would be cool. You know what I mean? Being number one in points. But I think if he's able to finish top 5, top 10 in rebounds and assists, that would be more. He took 2 years off, Chance. That would be more. And because that shows the all-around impact that he had on the game. You know what I mean? Not just scoring the basketball. And I disagree with that statement 100%, Chance, baby. But we're not going to go there tonight.
That is a good one because that's what the Houston Rockets won those.
Yeah, they had nobody that could stop a king. Nobody. And actually, Jordan came back in the playoffs and they lost to Shaq in the Magic. But that never gets talked about. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. So I think that's it for tonight. That's what I got. You got anything else on the dock? Oh,
we did. But yeah, we got a big thing on the docket, man. Deion did it again.
Yeah, Kermani McClain flipped from Miami. They still taking Miami still taking losses. 12 and what?
12 and no.
Yeah.
As in, no, I'm not coming there.
Yeah. Yeah. Commander McClain has been flirting with I'm still committed. Yeah, I'm still committed. Yeah, I'm still committed to Colorado.
You know, I knew it was Colorado as soon as I seen on the video who he was talking to.
Mm-hmm.
While on get out, oh yeah, that boy going to Colorado.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Best secondary in the country.
I don't know. They've got now they have the best. They will have probably the best 1-2 punch.
Oh, easily. My question is, with Shiloh, them two, and the other safety that they brought from Jackson State, does that give them the best safety duo in the country? I mean, the best secondary in the country. Because obviously they got the best cornerback duo. You got the number one corners the past two years. So, I mean, I feel like they at least in the conversation.
At least in the conversation. Blake had Memphis Spence on, and they were talking about Memphis Spence was saying that Colorado won't be ranked in the top 10, but they'll probably be in the top 25. And I was like, really?
Going into the season?
Because of who they bringing in and everything.
The voters probably will. Honestly, yeah. You know, the voters probably will. But I say I got asked this question today after the Cormani flip. There's a certain quarterback who's trying to get released out of his NIL or
That's
international
the next thing I was
going
to bring up. Yeah.
Is Jalen Rashad to go to Colorado?
I think he ended up in Colorado.
I don't. See,
I
don't.
don't. Where do you think he goes?
The report said back to Miami, Arizona State. There was another one. Was it Washington? There was another one that was kind of that I could see. I don't think he go because let me ask you this. Do you think Jaden Rashad sits for 2 years?
Who you gonna sit behind for 2 years?
You think Shador coming out next year?
Yeah.
Do you know? Have you seen the quarterbacks coming out next year's class?
Do you know the arrogance of the Sanders family?
Yeah, that arrogance that ain't gonna allow them to go in the second round. So I feel like Shador gonna look at Caleb Williams, Drake May, you know, all these quarterbacks that's coming out next year, and he's gonna say, "I'm gonna come back for my senior year."
I don't know. I think he gonna realistically he gonna make another Heisman run, and
we'll see.
I think he gonna try to get up out of there.
Yeah, I
mean, if he throws for, which you know they gonna throw the ball. You know Deion gonna force him to throw the ball. He gonna I had to Dave.
I'm gonna tell you this. Okay, next year I can name 10 quarterbacks right now that's gonna enter the draft or possibly enter the draft next year.
Yeah, I agree.
And so if just from a number standpoint, it makes more sense for him to come back for a senior year. Not to mention the caliber of some of these. I mean, you got a Heisman Trophy winner, a guy who was a Heisman Trophy favorite for a long time in the season, and Drake May. You got Jaden Daniels come back. You got Bo Nix, who was in the Heisman race last year. Spencer Rattler. You got who else?
Michael Penix.
Yeah, that's the other one. Penix. You got Grayson McCall, who probably not going to be in Coastal Carolina, but probably going to be at a bigger school. You got Sam Hartman.
He went back to
yeah, but I talked to somebody today who said he will be transferring probably after he graduates in the spring. So keep an eye on that. But you got Sam Hartman who's going to be at Notre Dame, so he's going to get more publicity being at Notre Dame. You know, so I mean, I said Jaden, I said JD. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying those all 10 are gonna go before him, but if 6 go before him, that push him down into the second round. You see what I'm saying? In mid-second round. Does he want to do that? Come back and play for his daddy for a year and go first round. especially considering that 3 of those quarterbacks I named are in the Pac-12. So he would basically be the best quarterback in the Pac-12 at that point by default. I don't know. I just don't see Rashad ending up there because I think he want a chance to play this year. So I
And
feel like
Dylan
Arizona
says hi,
State is
and
one. What up, Dylan?
he said, "What's
But
up, Dylan?
but
Can we gonna finish this if you don't mind, sir?" Okay, thank you.
give my boy a break, man. But I just feel like he gonna go somewhere where I think he gonna try to play this year, at least some, and definitely be the starter the next year. So
Right.
I just don't see Colorado being that. I wouldn't be surprised, but I just don't see Colorado being that.
Gotcha. I personally, some tell me he gonna try to come out.
I
At
mean,
least flirt with it. So
I can see it, but I don't think that's ultimately where he end up. I mean, I would kind of like for him to go back to Miami just to laugh at all the Florida fans who laughed at all the Miami fans. You know what I mean? But it don't really matter to me. As long as he don't end up in the SEC, I'm cool.
yeah, I don't see it. I mean, if he did try to go to the SEC, where would he go?
Bama.
Because Bama just got two of them.
I
know. I was thinking about that. I was like, Bama, but Bama got.
I mean, did Georgia get a quarterback in this cycle?
I'm not sure.
I mean, it's Texas A&M get a quarterback this cycle. He'd probably sit behind Wegman, so I don't see Texas A&M. But the pressure to that's a good question, Chance. Very good question. Do y'all think Rashad Ordeal adds pressure to him wherever he goes?
How much pressure did Zach Evans get?
A little bit different. A little bit different.
How much so?
Well, Zach Evans wasn't a money issue. Zach Evans was I want to kind of go closer to home, and I don't know if I made the best decision type deal. This and Zach Evans wasn't anywhere near publicized as this was. That's a good comparison, honestly. But I think the Zach Evans wasn't publicized, and it wasn't because he didn't get paid. You get what I'm saying? And so if Jaden Rashada goes somewhere and throws 2 interceptions in the game, they're gonna say y'all was gonna pay 13. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Florida paid him.
Florida paid who?
Rashada.
What you know that I don't know?
Blake said it on his show. He was talking to Memphis Spitz. He said, he didn't say. He said, basically, he inferred. He said, like he told him in Memphis, like I know. He said, Florida paid him that money.
I don't know. I heard otherwise, but
interesting though. Very interesting. That's what he's trying to get out of. He's trying to get out of Florida.
Yeah, so. I don't know. If they pay him, why would they let him out of the NLI?
They hadn't let him out yet. He requested.
So I know, but if you know they're not gonna let you out of the NLI, why request it?
Unless he pay that money back.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't believe that. I'm not saying it's not true. I just don't believe it. And I heard otherwise that I'll tell you off. All right. But yeah, I ain't putting that out there. But I heard otherwise, and I heard that I don't know if he's gonna be at Florida. I'll just say that.
Well, will he be in the state of Florida? I don't know.
We'll see. To be determined.
To be determined. All right. Well, we'll be back Sunday.
Imagine that Alabama just got the Georgia linebacker.
Oh, I knew that was coming. Man. We'll be back Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back Sunday to bring you some more good news. Maybe we'll know where Jay Rashada going by then. Maybe LSU men's basketball shocks the world.
Don't hold your breath on that one, though.
The women up by 8 at half, 38-30. But hey, it is.
We'll be breaking down NFL playoffs, basketball. Maybe we get another transfer before then. Maybe, possibly. We'll see. But yeah, we'll be here Sunday. Come check us out.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on Twitter at Golden Boot. On Instagram at Golden Boot. On YouTube at The Golden Boot Pod. On Facebook at The Golden Boot Pod.
Golden Boot!